Oh, yeah? So what has my coach been up to? The trash man, he's been busy. Oh, yeah? So what has he been up to? Talking about pruning and purging? Oh, yeah? Trash man's been leaving his trash wherever he finished with it. Just dropping ladders all over the place. Leaving the boots wherever they lay. Leaving the toys and teaching the boys just to leave their toys wherever. Trash man's been counting on Megan cleaning up after him. Is that right? Cleaning up after a grown man. Oh, yeah? She's his helpmate? All right, helpmate? Trash mate? So he just leaves it and he just counts on the fact that Megan she is going to clean up the mess afterwards. But he's been talking about pruning stuff and purging other things. Well, by my estimation, in recent history, Megan is on her third pruning when it comes to that shed shack. She appears to be on her third pruning when it comes to that chicken hutch, aka Ernest the Barn. We do understand that she was doing, she did some pruning back when she cleaned it out, when she tried to clean out that hay and that other trash because it was flea infested after the sheep and the dogs were bedding down. The sheep, the dogs, the rats, the mice, and the fleas, of course, after they were bedding down in the shed shack, we understand that she pruned it that first time all by herself. And my coach Tim showed up to do a little bit of the sweeping, a little bit of the dusting around the edges. So we know that she was doing some pruning back then. And of course, we know that she did a second pruning when she cleaned up that shed shack yet again for the sake of the chicken processing equipment. Yeah, it's on the way. You mean the chicken processing equipment that they convinced those pig farmers or those hog farmers to donate to them? Yes. Where is the chicken processing equipment? It's on the way? Okay. Or is it at the local flea market? Did they post it on the marketplace already? Did they sell it? It's on the way? Okay, it's on the way. But we do know that Megan did a second pruning of the shed shack in preparation for this extensive chicken processing operation. And now she's on her third pruning of the shed shack. She's on her third pruning of the barn of Ernest. And this time she's pruning it for the sake of what? Just cleaning up? She's just sweeping up some of the dust, sweeping up some of the feed and some of the hay. That's all she's doing. She's moving some of the toys that the boys have just left. She's adjusting some of the boots so that they're not blocking the doorway. Is that all she's doing? Oh, yeah? And then when she cleans up when she finishes cleaning up, just sweeping and dusting around the edges, she's going to tell us that it looks amazing. I'm going to guess that she tells us that it looks amazing. Even though it's clearly cluttered yet again. I'm just guessing. I have seen the video, but I'm just guessing that she's going to tell us that it looks amazing inside. Okay? They talk about cleaning things up so that they could sit around the wood burning stove someday. They talked about cleaning up previously so that they could house the chicken processing. And apparently the barn is cluttered yet again. But she talks about cleaning up behind the door so the door can open completely. She's talking about the entry door. Okay, now, last I knew, in order for a door to truly be a door, if we look up the definition of a door, it implies that you have walls. Okay, and so from my observation, that porch or that shack or that duck hutch or turkey hutch is it's an open porch. Okay, which means you don't need a door. Okay, you can go ahead and close the door if you want. You can lock the door if you want. And while you're locking it, the sheep or the dogs are just climbing up into it. The squirrel, the raccoon, the rats, they're just climbing up into it. They say, well, okay, if you close that door, we'll use the other entryway. Okay? But she takes issue with the door not being able to open completely. Oh, yeah? Is that really a big deal? Okay. All right. Well, what else has my coach been up to? Oh, yeah? He talked about love and he talked about domination. Oh, yeah? Was that part of his marital vows? He promised to cherish. He promised to honor and to dominate. Okay? Megan promised to cherish, to love, and to be dominated. and to obey. Of course, she still had the obey part in that. But even before her obeying, she promised to be dominated. Was that part of the vows? I thought that love was supposed to be gentle. I thought that love was supposed to be kind. I didn't know that love was supposed to be about domination and annihilation. Okay, all right. Are we talking about some prison type stuff, Coach? Okay. I know that when folks are violated, especially when behind bars, but when they're violated, period, it's not about intercourse. It's about control and domination. And so when you talk about being out here in civilization, being out here with the rest of the civilians, being out here in the general population, and you're talking about using love as a form of domination, I'm like, okay, where in the world, Coach? We don't dominate with love out here. Okay? We don't do that. We don't annihilate the ones that we love, Coach. We don't do that. We don't beat them over the head. Love doesn't. Love is gentle, Coach. We don't beat people over the head in the name of love. Okay? We certainly don't annihilate them. Okay? We don't suppress them. We don't suppress their personalities, Coach. We don't do that. Okay? We don't suppress their upbringing, Coach. We don't do that. That's not part of love. Okay? We don't dominate and isolate them from their family members. What about the love that they have for their parents? What about the love that they have for their siblings? Maybe some cousins, uncles, aunts. What about that love? When does domination involve isolating folks from their parents? Okay? When does love involve dominating them such that they're only person that they see, the only people that they see are their direct family members? Is that really what love is all about? That's the domination that you talked about? You talked about truth involving power and truth involving domination. Yet again, there you go with the domination again. Okay? The truth speaks for itself. Some people don't want to hear it. And as we know, some people don't want to speak it. They avoid the truth like it's a plague. We know that, Coach. Okay? But there's no domination involved with the truth, Coach. All right? The truth does not have to be forced on someone. All you have to do is speak the truth. Okay? Let it defend itself. All right, Coach? All right. Anything else my coach has been up to? That's it? All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Before I get to my reaction to the recent IAG Farms video where Megan talks about giving someone a high five. At first I thought, well, maybe she's going to give a high five to Jesus. Okay. And I guess during the video, the high five was intended for Tim. So she has to stroke him a little bit. I guess at some point he chipped in a bit with the cleanup. He chipped in a little bit and she said, well done. Well done. Let me give you this high five. Let me hurry up and give you this high five before you start sulking, before you start pouting. So I guess Tim was the one that deserved the high five. But okay. All right. But now, before I get to my reaction to that video, let me recognize you guys that have been active in the comments. Keep those comments going. Keep the dialogue flowing both ways. Of course, I have to recognize you faithful Tim followers. I hear you guys. I truly hear you guys in the comments talking about Captain. Some captain you are. You want to be Tim. You want to be Tim. You want those 100,000 subscribers. Okay, I even stumbled getting it out of my mouth. Right? You want those 100,000 subscribers. Like, do I really want that? Or is this a hobby? Okay, it may be a job for my coach. Okay, it may be his primary source of income next to the donations, the tips, and the offerings. Okay, it may be my coach's focal point right now. Okay, but do I really want 100,000 subscribers? Do I really want to? Do I intend to take 4, 5, 6 years to accumulate 100,000 subscribers? I'm not sure if that's on my to-do list. I'm not sure if that's on my bucket list, but I hear you guys. And I'm certainly not sure that I would want to go through the means that my coach has to go through, and that he has gone through to get to that level. Putting YouTube ahead of my family, actually forcing and coaxing my family to participate with the filming, with the scripting, with the rehearsals, with the mistruths, with the small tales and the tall tales and the white lies. I'm not sure that I would want to go to that extent. But for some reason, you guys say, well, you wish you had the 100,000 subscribers. And I'm like, okay, all right. You guys be wilding in the comments. And as long as you guys are wilding, I'm going to keep on digressing. Welcome back to the end game, where today I'm going to give my reaction to that recent IAG Farms video where Megan talks about giving someone a high five. I'm going to provide my reaction here. Early in the video, we see that Megan, of her own volition, she's decided to drag little Benjamin into this lunacy. So she sets up the little portable playpen out by the barn, out with the fleas, the ticks, the mice, the rats, the squirrels, the raccoons, etc. But she sets up the playpen. Despite little Benjamin's resistance, he's like, no, mama, no. She drags him out. She banishes him to that playpen so he can bear witness to her cleanup within the barn, her third cleanup assignment. Although little Benjamin is probably too young to complain about the stench, to complain about the smell and the aroma of the pee, the poop, the ducks, the turkey. Although little Benjamin, and not to mention the fecal spray from their septic tank, not to mention the smell of the fecal spray. Remember that Tim just recently changed out the chlorine tabs. But she drags little Benjamin out with her, and she sentences Benjamin to about 2 or 3 hours worth of suffering, as if little Benjamin's going to enjoy some fresh air. There won't be any fresh air, not for the next few hours. There won't be any fresh air. Of course, we noticed that the Raggedy Old excursion is parked over there near Hema, and so we know that Tim is on the inside. And of course, he's not spending any time with the boys. Of course, if he's on the inside, he's doing his editing. But he's on the inside. He sentences Megan and little Benjamin to go out there and deal with the shed shack, deal with it. And so we can only wonder what Megan is going to offer, what she's going to offer for her explanation for how she's so looking forward to this task, Megan. What say you, Megan? Shortly after that, Megan talks about how the boys are inside because they're off of homeschooling today. And we know what that means. We know that means that my coach and y'all's pastor, he said, no, priority number one, job number one for you today, Megan, your assignment for today is to go out and clean up that barn. Go out and clean up the shed shack. Clean up the mess that I have made. Clean up the tools. Organize the tools. Organize the rakes, the boots, the toys that I just left. I just left them. Okay? But she talks about how there's no homeschooling today. Okay? Because cleanup is more important. Even though we would like to consider the fact that Tim could have started in on the cleaning as Megan actually commenced and finished up the homeschooling. And then she could have taken over for Tim right around his typical break time. She could have taken over for him and finished off the cleaning. But no, Tim was like, no, get out there on the barn site. Get out there on the shed site and get to cleaning. There will be no homeschooling today. There'll be no learning today. There'll be no education today. Get out there on the barn site and take that camera with you. All right. Get some of this valuable footage, some of this priceless prize footage of you sweeping the floor and moving around a few items here and there. Get that footage. Get it, Megan. Get it.
What is up, IAG Farm family? It is quite the beautiful windy day, seriously, out here. And Benjamin and I decided to get some fresh air and come out and clean and organize inside the barn. And basically it's an off, kind of like a partially off day for us. The boys aren't having homeschool today, so on their off days they love to be inside. Well, they're always outside, but they like to spend some time inside watching a movie, kind of chilling, playing on tablets and relaxing in that way. But I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't see them running around out here soon. But they're inside right now, just kind of chilling, enjoying some inside time. And it's perfect timing for me to come and get in the barn. And I thought I would also...
Now, one thing that we quickly notice is that Megan has been well trained. Tim has gotten good at receiving word from God and telling Megan what the word is, what their vision is going to be based upon the word that he received from God. Tim has shown that he's been designated to dictate what those boys' careers, what their aspirations will be. He dictated them to be farm hands for life. And then when he started seeing the comments on the reaction channels, he changed it up and said, well, no, they're not going to be farm hands. They're going to be these tradesmen, these multifaceted tradesmen for life. Forget about being professionals. Forget about any doctors or lawyers or accountants or what have you. Forget about being athletes. They're going to be tradesmen. But we see that Megan has adopted that thinking where she offers up the finite thoughts. She offers up the thoughts of little Benjamin. Okay. Now, at least the boys are verbal. Okay. Most of the boys are fully verbal. Most of them. But at least the boys can verbalize a little bit. And at least you can watch their actions. But now she's got to the point where she's talking about Benjamin loving this or that. And we know the only things that Benjamin loves right now are milk and food. He likes to sleep too, of course. But milk and food are at the top of his list. But she talks about how Benjamin loves to be out at that barn site. He loves to be out with the fleas and the ticks and the wind and the dirt and the dust and the hay and the dogs. Oh, by the way, we also notice that those dogs are caged. And I know that my coach said, or he claimed that those dogs are only in the cage for 4 to 5 hours a day. Okay. They're only in the cage from sundown to sunup, which we know is more than 4 or 5 hours. But he claims they're only in there for 4 to 5 hours. Of course, we notice in the background, what do we see? We see the 2 dogs locked up in that little cage. And my coach said that they were only in there to sleep. They're not sleeping. The sun is up. The boys already completed their farm chores hours ago. Okay, maybe a couple hours ago. But the boys completed their farm chores. So it's got to be about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning by now, coach. All right. We know that they let the dogs out when they were doing the farm chores. But of course, after that, they locked them right back up, coach. All right. It's simple math, coach. It's simple math. From what we've seen, those dogs are only out when you, Megan, or the boys are out. And so if the boys are in the house doing homeschooling, those dogs will be locked up, Coach. Coach, I know you didn't lie to us about locking up those dogs. I know you didn't lie to us about them only being in there to sleep, Coach. Okay, Coach. But we have to believe what we see. We see 2 caged dogs in a minuscule cage. They're not sleeping, Coach. They're struggling. As you say, they're suffering. Right now, they're suffering, Coach. Coach, spend a few dollars. Spend a few dollars. And then you won't have to worry about the comments. Okay, Coach? You won't have to worry about screening the comments in these reaction channels, Coach. You won't have to worry about getting those mythical emails from your subscribers, Coach, about that cage and about the apparent effect. We won't call it cruelty, but the apparent effect that it has on those animals. We won't call it cruelty. We'll just call it animal effect. And we'll call them negative effects, Coach. Spend a few dollars. If the donors have not donated a cage yet, if you for some reason decide to go ahead and post that cage that was donated up on the marketplace and you already sold that new cage, Coach, you may have to go into your own pockets this time, Coach. Go into your pockets, Coach, for the sake of those dogs, Coach. I'm thinking from what we can see, that chicken brooder, those duck, turkey, and chicken, they actually have a bigger coffin than the dogs have a cage. And those dogs are full grown, Coach. Coach, come on, Coach.
Bring baby Benjamin to enjoy, isn't that right, buddy? To enjoy some outside time for him as well. So he's loving being in his pack and play, and he's just looking around and smiling and laughing. So we're just gonna soak up this beautiful, beautiful day on the farm. It is just so like the perfect temperature in Mississippi, which, you know, usually it's either way too hot or way too cold, but it's perfect temperature and it's like slightly windy and breezy, and I'm loving it. So I'm just gonna walk y'all around and show you what I plan to get done in the barn.
A short bit later, Megan talks about as soon as you step into the barn. Okay, what do you mean step? We already okay, that's not a step. Okay, that's a couple of milk crates. It's a piece of plywood. Okay, that's not a step. But she says, as soon as you step, come on, Coach. Coach, master carpenter, Coach. You can't build a step. But she talks about as soon as you step in, there's this huge crate. And of course, she modifies, say, well, no. I'm going to try to limit my lies. I'm going to try to limit these mistruths and these exaggerations. I'm going to try to limit my exaggerations in this filming. And so she said, no, it's not a huge crate. I got to be honest with you guys. Although my husband wouldn't like it, I got to be honest with you. He's not around. After all, he's not around. Yeah, he's not around. So let me be honest with you guys. This is actually a regular sized milk crate or crate. But it's full of trash. Okay. And by trash, I mean that raggedy old football and that raggedy old plastic baseball bat. I'm like, okay, Coach, we already talked about how you predetermined what those boys' future would involve. And clearly, if we thought it before, clearly we know that you have no intent on those boys being athletic or athletes, okay? Otherwise, by now, they would have a real football. And by now, they would have a real baseball bat, okay, Coach? I know typically athletes, the ones that are interested in a particular sport, I don't want to say serious about a sport, but, you know, typically the athletes that develop into being strong athletes, they start playing those sports around, 5 years old, 7 years old. Certainly by 9 years old, they're playing those sports. And so you've doomed their athletic careers, their athletic endeavors, their athletic enjoyment by having this raggedy old equipment. Okay, we see it's no priority for you, Coach. None whatsoever. But it just reaffirms that you designate that they're going to continue homeschooling until they all graduate at 15 or 16, Coach. I do know that normally with homeschooling, students are allowed to have some type of athletic outlet. Normally they participate in a sports team, a local sports team, or there might be some type of collaboration of other homeschooling parents or other homeschooling households. But athletics are part of their upbringing, coach. Okay, coach. A raggedy football, a raggedy bat, stuff that was donated years ago, coach. Certainly, coach, by now you can upgrade your donations, coach. Just put out the word and say, we need some new sports equipment. And we promise not to post it on the marketplace. We promise not to sell it on eBay. If you guys send us some new sports equipment, we're not going to sell it this time. Come on, coach.
Having fun? You having fun? You having fun? You having fun, Benjamin? So I really want to get organized and cleaned in the barn. This is why. As soon as you step to walk in, you have this huge crate with the boy, or it's not huge. It's actually just a small milk crate, but it's full of the boys' toys. And first thing when you walk in the door is not a good placement for it. So we're going to find a new home for that in the barn. Also, this bin as well.
Then Megan talks about how it's inefficient for the doorway to be blocked with the crate, the trash, the boots, etc. She talks about it being efficient. And actually, Megan, I'm sure the word that you were looking for, you didn't want to have it be on tape. You didn't want it to show up during Tim's editing. But the word that you're really looking for is it being unsafe. Okay, it's not a matter of being inefficient. Okay, if you mean by inefficient, you mean it's inefficient for someone to fall over, for someone to trip, and for someone to bump their knee or bump their head or scrape their arm. If that's what you mean by inefficient, then certainly it's inefficient, coach. It's inefficient, Megan. It's inefficient, coach. Okay, but it's actually unsafe to have that doorway blocked. Now, granted, that doorway, and Megan talks about this mythical walkway. Okay, this perceived walkway. There's no walkway. Okay, there's no entrance, no dedicated entrance. Okay, boys can climb up into that shed from the side as needed. But you talk about this walkway. There's no walkway, and it being cluttered. It's a mess. It's not inefficient. It's a mess. It's a trash heap. Okay, it's my coach, the trash man of IAG, the Sanford and Son of IAG, at it yet again, just cluttering stuff. We talked about him standing for hoarding even more material assets, but clearly my coach is a hoarder. He's a straight up hoarder, and it doesn't have to be material assets either. I mean, he just hoards items, and it's left to you, Megan. It's left to you to sort it out. It's left to you to clean it up. It's left to you for you to pick it up, and ultimately, it's left for you to send it to the trash. Okay, I know my coach talked about pruning versus purging. All right. Much of what my coach collects, Megan, needs to be purged. Much of it needs to be purged. And I'm not talking about once every 3 years. Okay. Once the trash heaps collect to a point that the neighbors can't help but complain about it. Once they collect to a point where passerbys can't help but notice and look on it with disgust. Okay. We can purge as we go. All right. We don't have to collect trash. We don't have to hoard, coach. It's not necessary. You'll still be the trash man of IAG. You'll still be the Sanford and Sons of IAG, coach. You don't have to hoard everything.
Well, just doesn't need to be in the walkway of the door when you first walk in. We're using the barn every day now. And this is just inefficient for us when the boys come and do their chores and feed the chickens and put the waters in. They're constantly having to deal with this right here in the front of the door. So we will find a new home.
A short bit later, Megan, she shows us what's behind the door. Of course, it's stacked up with farm implements, rakes and shovels and what have you. Of course, we know who left them there. We know it's my coach. Y'all's pastor too. But we know it's my coach that left all those implements behind the door. Of course, he knew that it was gonna be Megan's responsibility to clean it up, so he would care less where he left them. But she talks about how she would love for the door to be able to swing open completely. And we're like, Who cares about the door swinging? Yes. In actuality, you could take that door right off the hinges. It serves no purpose. It serves no purpose. Go back to the dictionary. I know I recommended that earlier. Go back to the dictionary again. Okay. We can't really even call that a door. All right. Take it off the hinges. Take it right off the hinges, Megan. All right. One of these days when your husband, when my coach is away, take it off the hinges and toss it into one of those trash heaps. It serves no purpose. It's a doorway to nothing. Okay. It's a doorway that leads to a mythical walkway. And looking around in that shack, it's like, holy moly. It's an indoor. Well, is it indoor? It's a partially covered trash heap. Okay. Now, is this providing us with some future insight? Is this a glimpse at what's to come once Tim spends 2 years building that porch? Is this what's to come? Is there going to be clutter all over that porch? Okay. You know what they say about hoarders? Hoarders are going to hoard, right? What do they say? They say, don't hate the hoarder, hate the hoarding. Don't hate the hoarder. Okay. I think this is a glimpse at what the future holds. This is an enclosed porch, well, partially enclosed porch that you call a barn. That thing is a trash heap. It's cluttered, Megan. You talk about your goals being sweeping it up and sweeping up some of the grain so you can cut back on some of the feed that's being offered to those mice and those rats, to those squirrels and those raccoons, to those possum. And so I see it as busy work, Megan. Okay. We do want to be optimistic about the success of this cleanup effort. But I see it as busy work, Megan. Apparently there was nothing else to film. Apparently my coach said, Megan, get up out there. Okay. Get up out there, Megan, and get us some content. Okay. And she's like, but get up out there, Megan. Find something to tape. Okay. If you got to sweep the floor and put it on tape, so be it, Megan. So be it.
For these bands here in the front of the door, and then they'll also have more space for their muck boots as well once I move those. Also, all of these items here behind the door seem to be restricting the swing of the door a little bit. I would love to be able to maybe push this door all the way back and get it out of the way. But we will see what we can do for that. And as far as this side of the barn goes, my goal is just to tidy up, to sweep, get all the hay out. I think the boys may have spilled a little bit / a lot of bit of grain. So just want to get it swept out in the barn and get things tidied up here. I want to see if maybe I can rehome some of these things here in order to maybe get the boys' toys in this area and that being in this area, and then have these things moved somewhere else. Ideally, I can put some things on the loft. We'll see what happens with that. But it's really not a whole lot to clean. It's just
a bit later, Megan talks about freshening up the barn. Okay. Yeah. How do you freshen up something that smells like pee? It smells like urine. It smells like poop, fecal matter. How do you freshen something like that up? I'm not sure. Freshening up is not the proper term for it. You talk about how Tim's doing the trim work on the outside, and the outside is looking cute. Although we've seen it moments ago in this video, we saw that the siding is still yet not done. Okay, but you talk about how the exterior is looks pretty. Of course, Tim talked about how the barn was done, even though it's still not done. Okay, based on the irrefutable film evidence, it's still not done. But you talk about freshening it up, and then you talk about blessing the barn, and I'm like, okay, Megan. Please, Megan, please. I do understand that you're working under the script. I do understand that you're working under the scrutiny of the editor, my coach, okay? Under the filmmaker, my coach. I do understand, Megan. But blessing an inanimate object we don't bless. We don't bless material objects. Okay. We don't bless shacks. Okay. Normally we try to bless people. Okay. We bless children. We bless adults. You may be a blessing to animals. Well, not those dogs. Okay. It's more like a curse. It's more like a curse. Okay. It's more like punishment. It's a penalty. Those dogs are being penalized. We're not going to talk about the boys. Those dogs are being penalized. Okay, you're not blessing those dogs. But normally we bless human beings and other living animals. Maybe we may bless some plants, depending upon how deep you want to get with it. You can bless some plants. Okay? Living beings. We don't bless barns or shacks or sheds or hutches or brooders. We don't bless those items, Megan. Okay? I'm sure you just slipped up with the script a little bit, Megan. You just slipped up a little bit, but I'm going to need you to slip right back, Megan. Okay? Don't get carried away with this blessing thing. Okay? It's supposed to be all about God. God is not in the business of blessing barns and shacks. Okay, Megan? Okay, Megan.
Matter of getting in here and kind of organizing a little bit, putting things in their place, and just freshening up and blessing the barn. That's my goal, because the boys are in here every day. They work really hard on the farm chores, and I want it to be a wonderful, amazing, exciting space for them to come to. And then also Tim has been working really hard, just finishing up all the trim work for the barn, and it looks really great on the outside, so I want the inside to reflect that as well. And this barn is useful. We are using it, so I want it to be organized and usable. So that is my goal. My goal is to get things organized in here, have a nice walkway when you walk in that's not full of things in your way, and I think that I can accomplish that goal. I'm excited. I'm ready to.
Shortly thereafter, Megan talks about this project of cleaning up the barn being a project that she only dreamed of. I'm like, okay, all right, Megan, snap out of it, Megan. Snap out of it, Megan. Okay? Come on now. Oh, man. Who's getting homeschooled, Megan? Okay? Indoctrination? We want to talk about washing of the brain, Megan. Okay? But nobody dreams. Okay? You should have bigger dreams than this, Megan. Nobody dreams of cleaning up a barn that their husband continually junks up, that he continually messes up, that he continuously trashes up. Nobody dreams of that, Megan. Come on, Megan. So we're going to need for you to snap out of it, Megan. Please, Megan. Please. Megan.
Get to work, because this is the type of project that I would only dream about doing before and would never have time to get around to organizing and cleaning until we did something major in the barn. But this is just kind of your everyday pick up, everyday clean up, every day, every week at least, organizing that you do when you have a barn that you use every day. So I'm excited to be able to make the barn more useful or organized, or just more pleasant to come into and use. And I'm delighted that I could just put my touch on it, because, before, when I was working and going back and forth to the farm, I never got to enjoy and really soak in this part of being here on the farm and really like settling.
Shortly thereafter, Megan gets some footage of little Benjamin in his playpen, and Benjamin has gotten a hold of a leaf. and Megan's asking, well, how did you get that leaf? And did you jump out when I wasn't looking, when I was leaving you unattended to? Did you jump out, little Benjamin? And Benjamin like, silly mama. Of course. That's the leaf that the fleas rode in on, mama. Okay. That's the leaf that the ticks rode in on, mama. Okay. It didn't blow in here. And certainly I didn't climb out. I'm not getting out of this playpen, okay? I might be a baby, but there's nothing wrong with my eyes. I see the trash. I smell the pee. I smell the poop. I see the insects. I see the rat droppings, the mice droppings. Every now and then I might see a mouse poke his head out. I'm not getting out of this. Okay? This is my protective shell. This is the only protection I have from the elements. And when I say protection, I mean the only protection I have. Even though you're supposed to be my protection, mama. This is the only protection I have from the elements. I'm staying in this pen, mama. The fleas can ride in on leaves if they want to. They can if they want to, but I'm staying put, mama.
And the barn is just a symbol of that. It's just showing me how when you're obedient and you take a leap of faith, the Lord literally establishes the path for you to be on. So I'm going to get to work. I can't wait. And Benjamin is loving being outside. He has not whimpered or whined, not one time. So this is great.
Burn up, burn up, burn up, burn. A little bit later, we see Megan has really given up on organizing that shack and shed. She's moved some of the rakes so that the door can open a little bit more freely. She realized that's all she can do to this point. She starts in on the sweeping, and she goes about sweeping up the feed, the hay, and the fecal dust. The fecal dust. And she's sweeping it up, and of course she's sweeping it right toward little Benjamin and the boys, and so they'll get a good whiff. They'll get some good inhalation of that dust, of that fecal dust. Those twins, Titus and Noah, the twins, they're going to get their serving of fecal dust in their lungs. Timothy Jr., he'll get his serving of fecal dust in his lungs. But it's just part of nature. It's just part of living on a farm, right? Isn't that what my coach says? It's just part of living on a farm.
The boys are over here taking a snack break. Y'all eating some fruit? It's good? Awesome. Y'all enjoying sitting? Woo, that wind. Look at Benjamin. You standing up, buddy? And walking? Aren't we enjoying being under this shade spot under the barn?
Yes.
It's nice, isn't it?
If the barn wasn't here, we wouldn't have no shade.
Yep, pretty much. We are enjoying the beautiful shade of the barn. It's just so calm and peaceful and beautiful. I've got about half the barn completed, but the boys are eating fruit and taking a break, so I thought I would just take a break and chat with them and see how their day is going. They're having a blast just being outside. They enjoyed the morning inside, just kind of relaxing, watching a movie. Benjamin is walking around the pack and play, not holding on, no hands.
A little bit later, we see that Tim Sr. has joined the cleanup efforts, not as far as lending a hand, but he's joined. He's come into the barn area or the barn space. I guess he's tossing the football with the boys a little bit, and that dirty old football, that fecal dust covered football. They're tossing around. I guess he decides to get little Benjamin's playpen involved, and I guess he tosses the football into the playpen. Never mind the fact that it's covered in dirt and dust and poop and pee and urine. Never mind the fact, but if it's good enough for Tim, it's good enough for little Benjamin. And then shortly after that, Megan brings out the snack that she brought for herself and for little Benjamin. Of course, Timothy could have gone to retrieve the snack himself to help out a bit, but he offers to babysit while Megan goes to get her and Benjamin's own snack. And then, of course, Tim takes his soiled hands and he goes about handling little Benjamin's little sippy cup or his little applesauce cup or what have you, without any concern whatsoever. Never mind the fact that his hands are dirty. They're soiled. They're covered in poop dust, mice droppings, whatever you want to call it. They're covered in it. Never mind that, but he just goes about handling little Benjamin's food, okay, just contaminating the space. You guys talked about how little Benjamin could not be around in or around the chicken brooder. You talked about the salmonella poisoning, the risk of that for small children. What about all this contaminated dust? What about all this dirt? What about this the filth that you have on your hands and you're handling food, which means that Benjamin is going to be handling it, which means that it's going into Benjamin's mouth. Come on, coach. Come on. Near the end of the video, we see Megan feeding herself and feeding little Benjamin. Remember that Tim has already pulled up into the barn space. He's sitting comfortably on one of those lawn chairs, comfortably, while Megan is crouched. She's crouched on a bucket. Yes, that's a bucket. It's not a baby chair, it's a bucket. So while Tim is sitting comfortably, while y'all's pastor is putting himself first, while he's sitting comfortably in a lawn chair, Megan is crouched on a bucket. Holy moly. Especially considering the fact that she already spent hours piddling around in that shack, trying to quasi-organize the shack and sweeping up all that fecal dust. Regardless of the fact she spent hours doing that, and she spent more time tending to the boys and babysitting the boys and getting snacks and what have you. Now she's relegated to balance on the little bucket while she's feeding little Benjamin and herself. And I'm like, okay, coach. All right, coach. More examples of your domination of Megan. Okay, coach.
Benjamin and I are done with our snack. We had a good old time sitting under the bar, and I was talking to Tim about the space. I've gotten this area super clear and it looks amazing, but it's so cluttered in this area, and it was really only a few things. So we were talking and he said, hey, I can get these bins down lower and it'll still be watertight. And so this section of the barn is still watertight. We're under a covering, but it won't be in the barn, and it'll create more space inside the barn. So he's getting those bins down for me now, and then so I'm gonna see if I.
But all right, that's it. that's it for my reaction to that recent IAG Farms video where Megan talks about giving Tim a high five. Certainly the high five wasn't for him helping out or truly helping out in the shack cleanup or the barn cleanup. Certainly the high five wasn't for him organizing his tools. Certainly it wasn't for him organizing his implements and not just leaving them wherever he wanted to. Certainly the high five was not for him taking your efforts for granted. Okay, certainly the high five was not for him ignoring your previous cleanup efforts and sending you yet onto a third cleaning assignment. Certainly the high five was not for that. Certainly it was not for contaminating little Benjamin's playpen with the fecal dust and his fecal matter affected his fecal matter covered hands. Certainly the high five wasn't for that. Certainly the high five wasn't for him taking the adult chair and leaving you with a bucket. But that's it for my response to that video about Megan giving him a high five, an undeserved high five. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Chop it up in the comments. Burner Tim, Heavies, I'll see you guys there. I want to shoot out some love to my current subscribers. Thank you for showing me that love. I appreciate it. Thank you for showing me that love. For those viewers that have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing so that we can continue to shine that light. Until next time.